I don't know if I don't feel at all self-conscious about it, but it does pop up into my consciousness at times, which never popped up prior to me being in an interracial relationship. And this is my first interracial relationship. It's not your first one.
No, it's not.
But it is for me. And so, I presume it pops into your mind when we're out and about, right?
Yeah, it's like I feel like sometimes I wonder if, like, I haven't been in an interracial relationship here except with you, and I wonder if I was like just with like I kind of forget how you used to when I was dating my boyfriends, back in the day. Like I just wonder sometimes like how it would feel like if I was just dating a black guy, like a black Kenyan guy.
Where you could just go out and no one would.
Yeah, and no one would like
in.
Correct. Now I don't blend in. Like people will say something, people do notice, and also like in Nakuru, it's like there isn't a lot of white people.
No, in fact,
I've seen 3.
Yeah, well, there's a few more, but not many.
No.
Mostly it's at the little mall, which is close to the entrance to the national park, where obviously the big buses tell the white people you can go there and you can get the things that you need, then you can come back to the hotel before we go into the national park and look at rhinoceri and lions and whatever.
Yeah, so what do you think like is gonna be like our future of like what do you think, like how are we gonna make friends? Because we don't have like necessarily we don't have a lot of friends that we've made together that are not interracial. So do you think like because the trend is that we're making interracial friends, that's gonna continue to go on, or it's just because we live in this smaller town and once we move to Nairobi where like there's a lot of like diversity, is like that's gonna change?
You know what? I have no idea. And I think one of the things is that in Nairobi, even if that doesn't end up being the case, which I just have the sense it probably will. Like I was even doing some creativity coaching with this woman who I met at a workshop that I was giving, and sure enough, like she, the father of her children is Caucasian. So like it just seems like for whatever reason that has been happening, even if it's people that are not like our necessarily mutual friends. Like we've been seeing that. But then I think Nairobi's different too, because when you go pretty much the west side of Nairobi is probably one of the most racially diverse parts of the world, right? Because the UN is there. It's kind of like a financial hub for sub-Saharan Africa outside of South Africa, right?
Yep.
So, there's a ton of international people, obviously, from Asia, India, the US, Europe, all over Africa. It's amazing, actually. It's pretty cool. So my sense is that it's almost like no matter what we do when we're in Nairobi, there's no way around a incredibly multicultural, intercultural, interracial relationships and friends. Then, and just our whole friend circle will probably be like that because it already is. But it'll be interesting at some point, if and when we ended up back in the U.S. or we're in a place, that would, be, that wouldn't be a place like the west side of Nairobi. What would that be? And it's hard to say, but, like I said, we do get noticed, and there is something, and I don't even know if it's always things you can put your finger on. And sometimes I know I want to be able to say, you know what, we're talking about this now. I want to put my finger on it and name it and say it's this way. This is the answer. This is the way it is. This is the way it will be. And I can't do that. I don't have that relationship to this situation, right? We've been together for 3 years. We've been, 1 year kind of, here building a life together separate from the lives that we had before. And 1 year is, it's a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, I want to say I feel like that's a whole podcast topic where we kind of like explore, but you're right. Like at this moment, I don't feel like I can speak to it, you know?
There's no answer, but it is.
But there is something there.
There's something there. What it is, hard to say. And once again, insofar in our experience of building this together, it's been fairly, it's been this fairly interracial situation for us.
Yeah.
Which is, it's great because I love the people we met, our new friends. They're all, like how fortunate. And we just met some wonderful, wonderful people and are building really great friendships, and it'll be interesting to see how that continues.
Actually, I'm waiting for like our next door neighbor to invite us because she made such good food.
So that was the benefit of being an interracial couple, is being invited to the neighbor's house for
and
amazing food.
not only did she have like, we live in Nakuru, there's no cheese. The other woman, the interracial woman, was from
She'd come from Italy, and she brought like this amazing Parmesan cheese from Italy.
And wine, and she was serving wine. It was so delicious.
That's pretty amazing. That was pretty good.
Please invite us over
Drop
again.
the hint again. We'd have them over, but our food's just not as good. So, but I think they also own a restaurant or two. So
I think so. Yeah, probably that's why the food was so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like for those who are watching this, who's like if you're in an interracial relationship, like I'm just curious, like are your friendships diverse? Are you making like how do you guys make friends? You know, like does everyone have their own friends? Do you have mutual friends? And how do you guys
Yeah, and even for people that have been in interracial relationships and may not be, or even, it's one of the things that we can just probably touch on just briefly is the sense of, like, for me, when I was thinking about the possibility of, like, it had to be something I had to think about, like, on Tinder, right? It was like, am I going to do this? Or what are people going to think? Is she going to think that I'm just curious? Am I just a guy, like a white guy, curious about being with a woman of color? For us, it was never an intention to be together.
No, it wasn't.
So like we got together like immediately. We went out just to hang out once, and a day later I was in love, and 3 days later we hung out again, and then within a few days. So it wasn't anything premeditated. But if I had premeditated,
but you saw me on Tinder.
I did see you on Tinder.
And you swiped me left?
I swiped you left. I was like, nope. Not because you weren't gorgeous and I'm sure wonderful, but because I wasn't going to go there because I know we peripherally touched each other's community. I'm like, I'm not going there. But I think if I had to premeditate it, I might have actually been, if I thought we were going out on a date or something was happening, I might have actually been self-conscious, thinking like, I don't want to be this guy who might be perceived as, and maybe am I? Am I just curious? Like, what is this? And I don't think any of it's inherent. I just feel like culturally, socially, whatever, like there's enough stuff around it. I mean, shoot, 50 years ago, our relationship would have been illegal in the US and here until 1963. This would have been illegal. So obviously there's consideration that comes to it. I think that's one of the things that plays into us finding other interracial couples is, the reality that in many parts of the world up until not that long ago, this was illegal.
Yeah, I remember, like, if we're talking Tinder, like, before I met my ex-boyfriend on Tinder, and like one of the first question, he was British. One of the first question I asked him was like, is this a fetish for you? Like, is this, like, I just had to ask because I kind of just had read, like, white dudes, like, date black women as a fetish. And I was like, I don't want to be that. And I just had to, like, come out and ask. And he was like, wait, what are you talking about? And we ended up dating for a year. And he's, like, really one of my good friends to this day. Yeah, but I just had to ask. No,
and I think it's probably fair. And even to be able to bring it up and talk about it can be hard. Because the stuff that goes through, for me anyways, like thinking about it, would be like, I don't even want to have to question it. I don't have to wonder. But yet it's also important to be able to bring it up and talk about it. Like, to what, how much do you think about this? What does this mean to you? Like, all that stuff, we have to. I think we live in a world that because we're in a shifting time of where obviously it's not a problem to be in an interracial relationship. And interracial relationships, as we talked about before, have like doubled in the last 10 years. But it's still a thing. And if you pretend like it's not something, then you don't address it. I think it can rear its head in ways. First off, if nothing else, is that it's something I'm thinking about. It's a question I have. Is this okay? How do I, what's going on, to be able to just have the honesty to bring it up with each other.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We'll keep you posted. We are heading back to the States. We'll be doing some more traveling together. So, as this evolves, we'll see how it all moves forward. And once again, we're very curious to hear any thoughts or insight anyone else has. email us at info.itsnotall@gmail.com. And thanks for spending your time with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for spending your time with us and listening to us, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.